And so basically what I wanted to do for our team meeting today was just talk about the questions that people had. And did you submit a question for our meeting today?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what it was.
Was it about sending out newsletters?
Yes, that was it.
Okay, yep. So I'm happy to share. When other people come on, I'm sure they'd be happy to share too. So do I send out newsletters? Yes, I do. And I have sent out newsletters pretty much since I started my business. I originally sent out once a month. And as far as time frame goes, I think you should decide if you're going to send out newsletters, how often you're going to do it. And I think the key is consistency. Oh, there's Tracy joining us. Hi, Tracy. So all you have to do is, and the reason I say that is so that you build up an expectation for your customers so that they know when a newsletter is coming out. And you don't have to use a fancy service. You can use the newsletters that are available through the DBWS. And I think Tracy did that originally. Didn't you, Tracy?
Yeah, I still do. I actually went back to doing that.
Okay.
Because I wasn't finding that it was like the investment that I was putting into paying for a service didn't recoup me anything.
Okay.
And the Stampin' Up! Ones, if you use just their monthly one, it looks really nice. And you can add your own information at the bottom.
Karen, do you know how to access the newsletters that Stampin' Up! Provides for you?
I've obviously used the DBWS, but not the newsletters, so I will have to check that out.
Yeah.
It's under the tab that's next to events. I think it says, oh, my brain just went blank. It may say cards or something, but it's to the left. If you look at the top of where you can choose which part of the DBWS to go into, it's in the it's to the left of where it says events. It's like create an e-card, and you go and you choose. I think it's like corporate, like the ones that you can choose, like to see the ones that you've made, or to start a new one, or to use the ones that Stampin' Up! Has made.
So corporate e-cards?
I think that's what it is. Hang on,
I've got it. So there's Site Manager, My Blog, Creative Projects, Contacts, e-card Manager.
E-card, that's it.
So if
you click on that, then under that it says, I think it says corporate.
It says create a new e-card, My Saved e-cards, corporate e-cards.
Yeah. So you click on corporate e-cards, and the newsletters are all there. And they do one every month, and then there's also a blank one.
Okay.
That they just added that a couple of months ago.
Cool.
Have you used both? The blank and the ones that they created?
You know, I haven't used the blank one. I actually find with my group that I do the corporate one, like I try to do it at the beginning of the month and kind of do a brief list of things coming up. But my group seem to do better if I send them a separate reminder or like a separate card for each event. They need lots of hand holding. Like they won't go, they call me and go, okay, so what, or text me and go, hey, what events do you have coming up? And I'm like, I have there's a website, you can go and see this like all the time, right? And they don't want to do, they're very needy. So they're very spoiled, actually. That's the problem, is they're all really, really spoiled.
When did you start sending out newsletters, Tracy?
Oh my gosh.
Like how soon after you joined Stampin' Up! Did you start
probably, I think it pretty much as soon as the DBWS was available. I think I know I had my website up, because as soon as I could do that. So probably I may have started out just sending emails when I had a very small customer base and it was just my friends. Yeah. I just sent emails, but probably within 2 years of starting, and probably it was within a year of starting once I had sort of built up a little bit more of a base.
Yeah, you know what? I think, Karen, I did the same thing. Is I sent out an email newsletter, to my customers in the very beginning. And then once I built up enough, I thought it was time to do something that was a little bit more formal, I guess, and that
Yeah,
would
I think
provide me
that's,
with, additional, bits and pieces that I wanted to highlight in my newsletters.
Okay.
Tracy, how often do you send a newsletter out?
I actually just usually send just the corporate newsletter. I try to do that at the beginning of the month. I might, if I have a lot going on or I feel like I need to send a reminder, I might change I have found that if you change the subject, like the subject line, but you can send the same content, it's interesting that different people will open it. Like sometimes it's the same people will open, you'll get other people who will open it. So I might resend it like the 15th if there's like a lot going on. But then I do I actually just send my reminders about specials like celebration or events and things. I send those all separately and I try to do a couple of those a week. I try to not inundate people with them, but I try to send, I try to send something a couple, like sometimes between 1 and 3 times a week. It just depends on how much I have going on. Like right now I haven't really sent a lot out because I was playing catch up because of the weather. So I didn't schedule a ton of stuff, but then like they decided a week ago Saturday when we were working on the winter sampler that, they really wanted to do one for Valentine's Day. So I really quickly threw something together and I've got 6 people who are doing my sampler, and it was, and it was super easy. So
Cool.
yeah, but I would say at least, once to twice a month for a newsletter. Once a month, definitely.
Yeah.
Just depends on what your customers are looking for. Like mine just don't, they're just not newsletter people. Like they're just, they're just not, it's mostly in-person stuff.
Right.
Or just like texting or messaging or talking on the phone for a lot of them.
And I've been at a couple of Tracy's events, and she's very good at saying, hey, are you guys coming to my such and such a class? Not all of you have signed up yet. So your people need those reminders. For me, because I'm 6,000 miles away from mine, I send a newsletter every week, but it's very short. I was sending one that was much, much longer. And then I got some advice from some non-Stampin' Up! People. I asked them if they would just look at my newsletter, and their comment was, you're providing way too much information.
Yeah.
So I have a sort of a welcome to my newsletter at the top where I say, hey, there's a couple of promotions. Don't forget about celebration. Don't forget about joining my team. And then I have an article that's 2 paragraphs maximum. That's what I'm calling is my favorite things. And it's basically a product highlight where it might be something that they may not have seen in the catalog that I want them to know about. And then I have a project idea with instructions and a photo and a list of the supplies and measurements for the cardstock. And that project, I then provide them with a link to download as a PDF, which is the capabilities that I have with the newsletter program that I do. And that's it. And then on the left-hand side of my newsletter, I have a very slender column that's got, what's in this issue, a link to my online store, a link to my social media, and a link. I think that's it. Yeah. And I send that out every week. And my open rate's about 44%, which is pretty good.
Oh, that's good.
It doesn't sound good, but it actually is.
No, that's actually really good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, Karen, if you're thinking about it, my advice would be ask your customers what they want. I did a survey last year. I try and do a survey every 2 years. It's very interesting what they come up with. And sometimes it's things that I hadn't even thought of. I find that my customers, I think because Pinterest, a lot of them are on Pinterest, or they just do Google searching, or they're on YouTube. There's a better open rate when I have a 3D item in my title line. And I think choosing your title for your newsletter is really critical. We can talk about that another month, but I think ask them what they would like to see in your newsletter, and then that's what you supply to them. But start out small and really be consistent. So you don't have to do it every week like I do. It's a lot of work to do it every week, but because I'm so far away, it's really important for me to remain in their radar, so that when they want to place an order, my name comes to mind, because I don't know, they could be subscribing to everybody else's newsletters too. And highly likely that they are subscribing to other demonstrators' newsletters. I just want them to think of me when they're going to place an order.
Okay.
Okay. As far as projects, I show them a project idea that I don't put on Facebook or on Pinterest or on YouTube. And you know, I'm on all these social media channels, and you don't have to be on all of them like I am. But I show them something different than they'll see anywhere else, because I want them to open my newsletter. And I don't want them to think, oh, it's probably on our Pinterest page, therefore I'll just delete because I have so many other emails in my inbox. So
Okay.
I can't remember who it is. It may be, I feel like it's maybe Frances Wagner.
mm-hmm.
She, at one of the NC Demos quarterlies a couple of years ago, she does a thing that's kind of like a Make It Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And she puts out, it's not really quite a total newsletter, but it's just here's a great project idea, or here's something, to show you. And I actually did that for a while, and I didn't actually even share all I would go and find other things that I thought were cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always say, oh, I found this on, blah, blah, blah. I totally gave credit to whoever it was or whatever. And that was really for people who are looking for ideas. And it didn't have to be super, it was super, super simple, like a picture and a very brief, it's this, what I loved about it. Like, I loved that it was this stamp set, or it was this, or it was that. And it wasn't all even just, it was all things that, like, some of it was sometimes something that I saw that I was like, ooh, we could recreate this with our Stampin' Up! Stuff. So if I saw, like, one of the things I remember doing was I was just fascinated by this idea in the fall of making pumpkins out of the rings from, like, mason jars.
Mm-hmm.
And then using some of our burlap ribbon and some other things to decorate it. And so that was one of the things that I did. And so one time I was like, okay, this is the picture I found, and this is what I made. So if you look, and it's a nice way to do something that's totally different, that you're not putting out someplace else.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to necessarily be something that you're trying to make all the time.
Absolutely. I'm in a cooperative group, and there's, actually two of them now. There's 26 demonstrators in one group and probably 50 in another. And every month we submit a project idea, and then we put it into a pool, and it's got non-identifying information on it other than the fact that it's part of this co-op. So there's no personal names on it. And I draw from those for my newsletters. So it's not, I create one and I have probably 70 that I can choose from, which is lovely. I really like that. The other thing is, I don't know if you know this, Karen, but with the Stampin' Success magazine, they have online extras. Every time a Stampin' Success magazine comes out, if you go to the website and where you access it, they have a link saying online extras. And you can go click on that, and they'll have 3 or 4 additional projects. Some of them will have the instructions to make them. So if I'm short of time or I'm traveling and I haven't, because I have to take my work computer with me wherever I go. I don't like to take my other computer too. It's too heavy. So I've snagged a few of those and shared those in my newsletters. Is perfectly okay to do. Stampin' Up! Doesn't say you can't do it. So I think it's just about sort of being inventive and creative with lots of options.
Okay.
But definitely, like Terry's saying, don't reinvent the wheel, and also find out what your customers are actually interested in, because you can put a lot of time and effort into something and they don't care.
Yeah.
They're like, and mine are pretty blunt about it. I actually plan most of my events by sitting down and going, okay, what do you guys want to do in the next few months?
Yeah, me too.
You know, and I make them drive. Like, I have my Cute Cards Quick. I have like 3 people who they drive what we're doing and when we're having it, because I'm like, okay, if you know, when do you guys want to have it? Because I know if I schedule it around them, they're going to be there.
Yep.
So that guarantees me that I've got at least this little base, and they all like each other, so they all want to come at the same time anyway.
Exactly,
And then it
yeah.
also makes me not have to rack my brain trying to decide
Yeah.
exactly what I'm going to do, because they've already told me what they want.
Yeah, I have 2 guys that come to my monthly crafternoons here in The Hague, and every time they go to leave, one of them will say, hey, next month, can we make such and such? And I always say back to him, absolutely.
Yeah.
And everybody else is like, yeah, I'd really like that idea too. So same thing. They plan what I have to make everything for them, but they do the theme, and then they all want to come because they've decided what it is they want to make. So it's great. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like last Saturday, them going, hey, we really want to do a Valentine's sampler. Can we do it next week? And then I went, sure, great, no problem. Yeah, I've totally got time to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So does that help, Karen, with your questions?
It really does. Thank you.
Anything else that you want to ask about newsletters?
No, I think that covers it. I'll try the one that's in there and get started with that.
Okay, yeah. And, you can always ask Tracy or myself if you need some help. Tracy's much more tuned into those because she uses them. I don't, but I'm sure we can figure it out if need be.
yeah, I've become the resident DBWS expert.
Yeah.
I mean, I have people I don't even know. I had somebody from NC Demos message me and go, hey, can you help me with this? And I'm like, sure. I have no idea who you are, but sure, call me, Will. And we sat on the phone until she figured it out. So yeah, if you need help,
Happy family. Yeah.
Thank you.
no problem.
So Tracy, you had asked about my number 1 or anybody's number 1 recruiting tip. Yeah, so I did a lot of thinking about that this afternoon. It really made me think a lot. And I don't think I have a number 1. I think my advice would be, whenever you have team events, take lots of photos and post them, making sure that everybody sees what fun you all have together. And I'm sure it would be no surprise to your customers that you have a lot of fun at your events, but I think it's about reaching more broadly beyond. In a few minutes, I'll take you into Facebook. I want to show you something, but you can see that there's other demonstrators that post what fun they have, and they post a variety of photos, and it really is very inviting. And I think a lot of people think, oh, I don't want to join Stampin' Up! Because they're going to pressure me to sell. And I've had people say that to me. Oh God, I don't want to sell anything. I just want to do it for the fun. So I think it's about making it look like it's a really good time, that everybody wants to be part of that great time. So, when you go to NC Demos, when you go to any kind of Stampin' Ups on stage, when you have team meetings, when you have a class, you could, if you have one of your downline attend one of your classes, it's perfectly okay to say, hey, look at this great meeting that we had, right, with my team.
Right.
And I think that, and then I think the other, there's so many things. It's just asking, right?
Yeah.
Asking people. That's the number 1 tip, right? Is don't assume they don't want to, and ask, because if you don't, somebody else will. And, I've told you twice now where I came close to asking somebody and I didn't. And within 3 months, she was on somebody else's team. And it's just because I'm very shy and it's very difficult for me to ask. So, for long distance people, I have a schedule for my blog. I try and post 6 out of 7 days on my blog. And so I have a schedule for every month, and I post twice a month on my blog, and I post on Facebook consistently as well as Twitter. And just hope that, I think it's about hitting the right person at the right time. I don't think there's any.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any set answer in that, but always asking. And then, whenever I have a catalog open house, I always post that you get 15 draw prize tickets for joining my team. And I've had people sign up, that same night. So, and that's actually how I met Nicole. She was the only one that came to my open house.
Yeah,
and
I
then
remember.
contacted me and signed up, which I thought was the most just out of body experience that I've had. So yeah, I mean, I think consistently asking, right now it's a great deal, so it's a lot easier to post, but I think after this as well, I think it's about finding the right timing during the year, like in April, join now so that in May you're part of the pre-order, and then in July, join now so in August you can be part of the pre-order. I always post a lot of things like that. So for me, it happens out of the blue. I just, I mention it when I'm on my YouTube, hey, if you want to join my team, now's a great time. Rarely I do, but I do. And often that's how I get people, is through my YouTube videos. Karen, how did you know about me?
Hold on, I'm writing a note really quick.
Okay, sorry.
No,
This is
good.
recorded too, so you can listen to it again sometime. But
I can't, thank you. I can't remember if it was one of your blog posts or a Facebook post or what, but I started seeing some of your projects and followed, I think, signed up for your newsletter and started following you. And then because of a particular project that you posted.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And, I think that's how we all, find demonstrators that we really connect to. Although there's, it's daunting that there's 40,000 demonstrators globally. I mean, we can't please everybody. And there's a lot more people than that on the planet. So I think it's, it's just about timing, I guess. Yeah. But I think, Tracy, you're very good at inviting people, and you get a lot of new people finding you on the DBWS. Yeah. One of the best tips I have that I wish I was better at sharing is when somebody joins your team and before their starter kit comes, have them invite a close crafting friend over for a one-on-one preview of the kit. And
that's a good idea.
So it's only that one person, and it's a private viewing, and you don't open the box until the person's in the room, and then you open it together and you go through everything. That's also a great way to add members to your team, because like you said, when you said you wanted to join my team, and I was like, not a chance, right? That's not happening. I don't want any downline. But what really reassured me was when you said, oh, we'll learn together. Yeah. And I think that's just, it was such a natural thing you said, and it made me relax instantly. And I thought, okay, yeah, this could be fun to do it together. So, obviously you've been a demonstrator for a long time, so that's not quite.
It'll be 15 years this year in July.
Yeah. So I think that's, that's a great way to do it.
Yeah. Because one of the things I did talk about with my BDA on a week ago, Thursday, I guess, was, team building and, figuring out what my team need right now. And because I had put out information and said, hey, let's start, because, Jen's back in North Carolina now. Yeah. She's not in Maine anymore. And Jessica's here, and my friend Carol's here. And Jen would actually probably like to get into it more as a business, and she wants to do craft fairs and that kind of thing. And so I put out a message and said, hey guys, let's have a team meeting. And I got zero response. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And then, I realized that Carol's taking care of her grandbaby all but one day, during the week now. So that's kind of taking her time. And she likes to come, she still comes to my regular events because she's really good friends with one of my, a couple of my other customers. Right. And then Jessica's, her primary focus is her Etsy store. Yeah. So she's really not interested in doing it as a demonstrator. She just likes getting a discount. Right. And I see Jen all the time. Yeah. So I said to Sarah, I'm like, I don't know, I don't, and she's like, but what do you think you do really well? And I'm like, well, I'm really good at, I talk to them all the time. I do have a Facebook group that I do put stuff up on, if they want to go look at it, but, I do communicate with them on text and calling them, and I see them socially and things. And she's like, well, then, I wouldn't worry about it right now until you have somebody who needs more than that. Don't stress about it. So I'm kind of in that mode where it's like, okay, they know they can always come to my Terrific Techie stuff for free. That's their free event. And then for the most part, my like other events they can come to for half price.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of, and I'm not saying this is the way it is with your team, but I think from what I've heard from other demonstrators, you mention meeting and they think, oh God, here's where the pressure starts, where I have to start, So what Connie Heisey does, I think, and what Janet Wakeland does, which I think is very successful, is they have set sampler time that's only for their team, and there's no business discussion. There's no agenda that we're going to go through. They just come together, and Janet Wakeland used to buy everything in the catalog, everything. Yeah. And then she would have us over and we'd open up the boxes together and we'd go through and ooh and ah, and then we would just spend a few hours making samples that then we could share with our own customers. So I think, again, it's about asking your team, look, I really want to meet with you. It's really important, but obviously a business meeting doesn't seem like it floats your boat. What would float your boat? Like what? And it's important for us to bond together, separate from customers. And, I think it's build it slowly and they will come. I mean, it took me a good year of trying before I finally started to get people to come to my meetings. And I went through the same thing as you, like, why doesn't anybody want to come? Am I threatening? Do I feel like, are they intimidated by me? And
I just think, I think for me, I've just figured out it's just not like it's kind of like they're getting what they need from me right now. So I'm not stressing. Like I was really stressed about it at the beginning of the year going, okay, I need to do something for them. And they don't want that. They like that, so I did the same thing. Like when I got my pre-order and, and I got the blends or whatever, I always, I say, hey guys, I have this stuff. And, I know sometimes we can't get everybody here at once, but, I'm here all the time now since I'm working at home again. And so, let's pick a day and come play. It doesn't have to be all of us together.
Yeah.
So, and they have done that.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, people are just busy.
They are busy. And, I think the big buildup would be the on-stage event. I mean, it'd be lovely if we could get a huge number of our team there, because I think that was so much fun when we were in Salt Lake City and Melinda was there. We just had some really good times.
Yeah.
Karen, do you know what a BDA is?
No, business something.
Yeah, Tracy, do you want to talk about that a bit?
It's something Stampin' Up! Started about 3 years ago, I guess, and I didn't do it the first time. I did it. I guess this is the fourth round of it because I didn't do it the first time. I did it the second time, and then I didn't do it last time, and I did it this time. So they put out the word, and they usually do it in January. I feel like, and I don't remember if they did in the fall. Anyway, that doesn't matter. They put out a thing. You fill out a survey that says basically what you want to build about your business, what kinds of questions you have, what kind of goals you're trying to set. And then they gave you a list of times that you're available. And it's right now they've set it up where it's once every 2 weeks for 6 months. You basically have a phone call with somebody from Stampin' Up! And it's basically to help you pinpoint what you're trying to build about your business, what problems you think you have, and your goal setting, and sort of working through, this is what I want and how you're going to get there. It's almost like having your own Stampin' Up! Therapist. It's really weird because it's like they don't tell you what to do. Like they won't really just go, well, I think you should go, you need to go look at this and this and this, and you need to do this and this and this. They don't do that. They basically make you think through and work through the process. And so like for me right now, my goals were, what did I say? It was my short-term goal right now was to get my calendar set through the end of April and get back on track with that. And then also because of the holidays and the end of the year, to get back on track with blogging a little bit and be better about it. I'm never going to do what Terry does. I'm never going to do it 6 days a week because I hate sitting in front of the computer. It drives me nuts now. But I, said my goal would be to do like maybe twice a week. So those were my short-term goals right now. And then my long-term goal was recruiting, and then, well, figure out what my team need, and then building my team, and then continue with that. So recruiting is my long-term, building my team is my long-term goal right now. And recruiting is the part of that, because I've already worked through, okay, what do you guys need from me? So that's kind of what, and so you just basically do this for like 6 months. But if you get an opportunity, like the next time they do it, because you have to sign up within a particular time.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. It's very helpful.
Yeah.
Just because it sort of forces you to think about what you need, what you want, and then how you're going to get it.
Kind of like having an accountability partner.
Yeah.
Where you tell them basically what it is you're going to work on, and then you're to report back on what you did work on the next time you talk. Is it the same for you, Tracy?
Yeah, and I have figured out, with me, everything is about exercise. Is about accountability. One of my big things right now is Lizzie's not in the States right now, so we always had sort of little accountability Facebook groups, and I do really well, and I eat really well, and I work out really well when I have that. And I feel like that's why I did the BDA this time, is because I definitely do better with some accountability.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Left to my own devices, I'm a hot mess.
So BDA stands for Business Development Advisors. So they work with Stampin' Up! Demonstrators who want to build their business. And they invest time with them. Not everybody gets in each go round. I think there's a limited number of BDA people that work at Stampin' Up! And they have a limited number for each person that they can meet with on a weekly basis. So yeah, it's a great program. So something worth considering. So Jennifer had asked about how we create online classes, where to begin, how to price, but she's not on. So maybe what I'll do is I'll save that question for next time, and I'll defer to that, unless she was hoping that we could, I'm looking for my share screen, talk about it, and she was going to listen to the recording. But what I want to do, we have about 10 minutes left. So what I'd like to do is show you, and Tracy, when you were asking about recruiting, I'm just going to my business page for Stampin' Up! And Insights. And I don't know if you ever use this, if you have your business page, but one of the things I really like about Insights and how I get ideas is after I click on Insights, and I try and look at this at least once a week. I try not to fixate on it. I just look at how I'm doing. But what I do is I scroll down and I look at my top 5 most recent posts and see how they're doing for engagement and reach. But then you can add pages to watch. So what I have done is I have picked some Stampin' Up! Demonstrators that I admire, and I have added them as a page to watch. And then I'll go on, and they only give you the most recent, 5 most recent posts. Can you see this on the screen, Karen? I don't think you can see this, can you?
Yes.
Oh, you can. Okay. So Patty Bennett is she's like my idol. I think I adore her because she is just most down-to-earth demonstrator I think that I know. Cool. She is very cool. But so what I do when I go on these pages is I look at the wording that they use and the photos. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. The photos that they create and the kinds of things that they post. Hang on, I'm just going to go back. And I just spend a couple of minutes and I scroll through and see how they share what they share. And then I try and think about the kinds of things that they are sharing and how they do it. And so Patty already has a Stamparatus, and so she is hot on the Stamparatus tips and tricks, so that when this finally goes live for customers, when the next catalog comes out, you can bet she's going to have some sales. But I really like this idea. So she has already sold 1 million and she's very close to the 1.5. So she's offering an incentive and inviting her customers to help her reach this next milestone, which I think is quite clever. And then she talks about coloring the ribbon. And then this is just a little bit about who she is, right? Which I think is kind of cool. And then just sort of generic-y things. But again, you can see that in the last 5 posts, she's had a lot of focus on Stampin' Blends.
Yeah.
Which I think is really neat. And the Stamparatus, right? So she's got this time-saving tips. So she's one that I follow. Chicken Scratch is another one. This week, not as exciting as in the previous weeks. She actually usually does Facebook Lives. And it was looking and watching her and her Facebook Lives in the last month that made me want to start doing them myself. And since I have, I mean, my reach has just skyrocketed. So I'm doing a Facebook Live every week now. Something very simple, takes about 5 minutes. Something that I think they wouldn't see anywhere else, or it's an idea I got from another demonstrator that I want my customers to know about. And then Stampin' Pretty is the last one. She's usually the #1 demonstrator globally, although I think she's slipped a little bit. I'm not sure. But she has very clean and simple project ideas, and sometimes that prompts me into realizing that clean and simple is perfectly okay as well. She also shares her downlines cards on her Facebook group. So that's an idea. You know, if you're trying to generate ideas for newsletters, or if you're trying to generate ideas for your own blog or your own Facebook page, it's a good idea to look at this adding pages option. And then this other person, I put her on. She's a Canadian demonstrator, and she's not way up there, but she does some really cool things. She does a lot of polls. Here's something, Tracy. Our monthly team meetings are a great place to see what's hot and new in the Stampin' Up! World. And so she talks about why you would want to join her team and when their next meeting is. So I think this is a really clever idea. It's beautiful too. I don't know if this is her business card. I don't know how she generated this. I don't know her, so I couldn't even ask. But you can see that, you know, it's only $5. So if you're a Canadian person interested in going to her team meeting and you live in her area, $5 is nothing.
Right.
So, and I think Patty Bennett, I was going to show you, I thought she had something. She had a picture. Maybe not.
You know, I have actually found
there it
on
is.
my business page that the personal posts are the ones that tend to do the best. It's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, these are not stellar photographs. They're obviously taken by people who are not experts, but creating fun, food, friends, recognition, training, and more. See where training comes? Way at the end. Creating comes first. So I think, you know, that's an idea to try if you're wanting to build a team.
Yeah. So. I actually was talking with maybe it was Nicole, that at the getaway in March, I'm going to actually offer just a really brief, hey, would you like to do, you know, what I do kind of thing, and have just a little brief meeting about being a demo. And then I do have a few demos who are coming, and we're going to do just probably 45 minutes to an hour. Hey, you know, what could we do? You know, you're not part of my team or anything, but what could we do to help you?
Yeah, kind of that's thing. Lovely.
And I think that will be, because I think then it shows people, you know, if you do sign up, you're not just, you know, left out in the world by yourself.
Yeah, and one thing that I did at a class once was, I think it was a class or an open house. I think it was a class, maybe a club meeting. I had some leftover product that I knew I wasn't going to use before it retired. And so I made these little baggies and I said, I've just got these draw baggies, and it's you. Anybody who asks me a question about being a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator can have one of these baggies for free. And I just sat there and there was like stunned silence for a few minutes. And then a few questions came out like, how much money do you make as a demonstrator? How much time does it take you to prepare? Everybody that asked a question got it. And they were nice goodie bags. And I just knew it was stuff that I was going to have left over, and I made an investment. And so it was very interesting for me to listen to the questions that they asked. They loved getting the goodie bag, and they went home with answers and ideas about what it was really like. And, you know, I always say, it's not about the selling.
No.
One of the questions was, does Stampin' Up! Call you about like boosting your sales? I was like, oh my gosh, no. This is so low pressure. And so, you know, it was good because somebody was thinking that I'm not going to join Stampin' Up! Because I don't want them calling me about my sales.
Oh, I know what I was saying. And people, their question being, you know, well, what happens if I don't make my minimum? And that, you know, they're very surprised when you go, you know, nothing happens. They don't take away your birthday. You know, you go into pending, once you're out of pending, you can turn around and sign up again. And they don't, you know, and they're like, oh, well, you know, that seems, you know, I think that people just really think that if you're in some kind of direct sales, that, you know, there's some person in the sky who's going to, you know, come down and punish you, or, you know, something's going to like, you're going to lose money or something if you don't.
Yeah, you're going to get brainwashed, or yeah. I mean, Stampin' Up! Is so easy and laid back. It's amazing. So I just have a few samples that I want to share, because that's my goal every month, is to share some creative ideas with you. So I did a Facebook Live where I featured, and the lighting in here is terrible, sorry, because it's dark. I featured the Simple Stripes embossing folder.
Oh, I saw that this morning.
Okay, so that's the vertical one. And then I shared this one on the team page.
That's the one, I saw that.
Horizontal. And so before you came on, Karen and I were talking about, could you do horizontal one way and then do horizontal the other way? And I said to give it a go. This one is the plaid, which you probably can't see because the lighting is so bad. But I did vertical and then I did horizontal. And you can see when the light hits it that it's a lovely plaid. And people really like that. And then I did a Facebook Live yesterday where I featured the Picture Perfect birthday party paper. And
that paper is so cool.
It is cool. And when I first got it, I thought, well, I'm not going to use the side with the photographs on it because I have no idea how to use it. So that's what I shared. So I made this card, and then I made this one where I stamped
super cute.
Hopefully you can see that. And then the last one is this one where I stamped, which you can't see, but I stamped happy birthday. And then there's one of the little balloon decorations that kind of looks like confetti. So I stamped that right on the paper as well, so that it says happy birthday throughout the whole paper, and then I copied the phrase. So,
I see it down on the bottom.
Okay, yeah. So those
super
are
cute.
some of my projects that I've been working on. Oh, and then today I did for my YouTube video, I did the envelope punch board, and I made a little Valentine envelope, and then I smeared it though when I put it in, so I threw it out actually. But I also made a little insert card and talked about how these are so quick and easy to make if you have a class of Valentines, if you have a young one at home that wants to take Valentines, that this is
that's
a
a good
great
idea.
project idea. So yeah, so that's my creative projects for the month to share. Anybody else have anything to share, or do you have any other?
Oh, I have an idea for you.
Okay.
The striped embossing folder with the plaid.
Yeah.
Have you tried brayering and making it colored like we used to do? Remember we used to have the what do we call it? Masks. They were basically masks that we could do the plaid with.
Yeah.
You
No,
ought
I
to
haven't.
try. So if you did shade, I mean, you'd have to do shades of the same color or colors that would blend, but you could do, once you embossed it, brayer and see what you get.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Yeah, and see what it looks like.
Because it wouldn't settle into the crack, into the, where you've got the
Right, right.
lines.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be really interesting to see if I did just a light color. I was telling Karen that the first time I did it, I did vertical, and then I kept the outie side and then did horizontal, and it just all fell apart. It shredded it.
Yeah.
It was just too much
Yeah,
pressure.
I could see that.
So the second time I did vertical, and then I turned it over so that the outie side was down, and it worked like a charm, and it didn't shred. I think though it really tore up the cardstock. And then
Are
I
you
realized
using
I
are
did
you
use
using
the
our
thick.
regular Whisper White?
I did. I
You
should
got to
have
use the thick stuff.
Yeah, yeah, but it worked. I mean, I used the regular, and it was fine. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have found with a couple of the like with the dynamic ones, if I'm doing that, I don't. I mean, you can't spritz the white because it does all kinds of weird things anyway. But I don't remember which one I was using, but I tried using the white, and it's just too thin, and that the thick is a nice option though.
Yeah, I don't have the thick, and it wasn't until Karen and I were talking that I realized, oh my gosh, we have that thick white cardstock. I should get
Oh,
some.
I love it.
Yeah, you like it, do you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't like it for like I don't know that I love it for like actual just stamping on and like, but if you need like, what was I doing? When I made the little easel calendars,
Uh-huh.
and then I did a little clothespin little thing, and I did monograms, and I needed it to be white. I wanted the letter to be the color because I was using the scraps from where I'd cut the calendar to do that piece. And so I wanted the background to be white, and so I used the thick for that because it's sturdier. And then also I did stamp on it because I did one that was with the coffee set.
Oh, yeah.
And so I stamped, and I had the coffee cup be the clippy. And so I used the white for that because it's so much sturdier. So I have found that if you're doing something where you've got an like something that's not going to just be flat, that it is nice for punching and doing that. Or like with the thinlits sometimes, like the butterfly one,
Mm-hmm.
it looks great to use that because it's just the regular white. It's too thin. It does weird things. But if you use the thick, they come out really nicely because they're sturdier and they pop out easier.
That'll be on my next order then. Thanks.
Yeah, you need some of that. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Glossy's back too, right?
Oh yes, and so guess what I'm going to do? Well, so my techies this month are going to actually use Brusho with the Glossy.
Oh.
And it's really pretty.
Good. No, I haven't
Yeah,
gotten
it's
Brusho either. I haven't gotten any Brusho yet.
Oh, Terry.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I probably shouldn't say this. It's all over Europe already.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's like a fraction of what we're selling it for, like a fraction. And
Really?
so for me, it was just I'll wait until I come home in April, and
Yeah.
I'll get some on my US order and then bring it back. So
Yeah. I really do like it, and my customers really like it. The one thing I have told people though, because I kind of had sticker shock when I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to spend $30 on something that's,
yeah.
So because I did it with my, both my hostess clubs in January, we just did kind of basic. What I said to them was, well, you're getting 5 colors. And if you think about it, it's, what do you pay for an ink pad? An ink pad is $6.50. So it's actually comparable to an ink pad, and I said, and it lasts a really long time as long as you don't, open the lid. And when I said that, they all went, oh, well, yeah, that does seem a lot more reasonable.
Okay, I'll send you a link. A Netherlands demonstrator sent a link to somebody who did a YouTube video, not on Brusho alone, and it's called something. No, it was on Brusho and another product which I hadn't heard of before. But you might get some really cool ideas from that.
Yeah.
If, maybe not, but
Yeah.
I'll share it with the team, and then you can see. Karen,
Well, when I get my project done, I will share it with everyone.
good.
So I'm doing. So remember when we used to do the wax paper resist with the glossy? I think you and I actually demoed it at a quarterly. So I did, and then used Brusho with it,
Oh, okay.
and it's really interesting. It's very, very different than using it with the watercolor paper. But everybody, so I'm actually doing one that I'm using the beautiful peacock with it, and basically making a peacock colored background.
Oh, it sounds lovely.
So it's going to be nifty. So,
Karen, have
but
you
it's a
tried
little bit,
Brusho?
pardon?
I'm just asking Karen if she tried Brusho.
I haven't.
Okay.
I've seen it in there. It looks intimidating.
It's not.
Yeah.
It honestly, just make sure you have watercolor paper. Make sure that your work surface is clean or covered, because you want to keep it, because it does sort of go
messy.
everywhere.
Yeah, that's what
but just watch the Stampin' Up! Video and do exactly what, just start out doing exactly what they do, and then you go, oh yeah, this is not bad at all. And my customers loved it. They loved the paint. They loved painting with it.
Oh, cool.
I'm going to share my NC Demos project, I think, later in the month, because we're doing a Cadence catalog for the Blog Hop. I'm going to share what we made last month, just using it with, and I may share what we do this month too, because it's just such a great product, and it's so different from anything else we have.
Okay, that's cool.
Try it.
So yeah, just start slow. Don't start with one. Here's who was I talking to? Talking to somebody. Carol Standish. Carol Standish came, and she and Linda came and stamped with me last week, and we were talking about the fact that you can see there are lots of really pretty projects out there with it, but there are lots of really hideous projects out there with it. And the best piece of advice I have is, just start out simple, do exactly what they do on the Stampin' Up! Video. Don't go crazy mixing the colors. It's the same idea as if you're watercoloring at all, you don't want to mix two things that are going to make brown.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the same idea as if you were making paint. Think of it like that. So you wouldn't put like green and red together. Don't, you want to make sure that whatever colors you're using will either blend together and just make a darker color, or they're going to make a color, like they're going to make
green.
So like orange or yellow and red are going to make orange,
Right.
or red and pink are going to make, or red and blue are going to make purple.
Right.
So you have to just kind of think about it like that, and if you do that, then you don't get brown.
Okay.
So that was the one.
Cool.
So but I do like it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll share that. I'll see if I can find that on Facebook afterwards and share that.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we say good night?
I don't think so. No. When are you coming in?
I'm coming in I'm flying out on April 7th, but I have a conference at Clemson University.
Oh, yeah, in South Carolina.
Yeah, the following week. And then after that, I'll be home for 5 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so we'll have to have a team meeting. Yay.
Yeah. You'll let me know. Because I'm just trying to plan what we have going. Because Matt and Lizzie are going to be here the end of March, beginning of April.
Oh, okay.
And then I know I'm going to be out of town I think it ends up being June 30th through the 1st of June, where I've got to go do Sarah College with Jay. So
and I'm flying back on the 18th of May.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. Maybe we could talk about possible dates, and then would you be willing for me to host at your place again?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just need to yeah.
We'll talk dates.
Later in April is better than earlier than.
Me too.
Yeah. And then Tracy Thompson's wedding, I think, is the last weekend in April, but it's just 1 day thing. So
Well, and when is the pre-order? April or May? May.
May.
So maybe we should do it in May, and I could pre-order a bunch of stuff, and then we could all play with it.
Yeah, and if you want to have it sent here, my UPS comes in the morning still at the house even. So, which is nice. It's usually here by 2:00.
Okay, well, let's talk about dates in May then, early May.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right,
Awesome.
well,
Go sleep.
good talking to everybody.
It's nice to talk to you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here if you need me. And other than that, we'll have another meeting next month.
Okay, awesome. Bye.
All right, take care. Bye. Bye, Karen.
Bye.